The medical facility's cold, metallic walls echoed with distant screams. Lyra's hands shook as she packed the forbidden pain medicines into her bag. Around her, the sterile storage room felt colder than usual, its harsh lights casting sharp shadows across rows of supplies that, by her people's laws, should never be used to ease suffering. She knew what she was doing was considered treason. The Valari believed that pain was the greatest teacher, that suffering bred strength. But after years of watching patients writhe in agony during even the simplest procedures, something in her had finally broken. A noise in the corridor made her freeze. Footsteps approached, the heavy boots of security guards making their nightly rounds. Lyra held her breath, pressing herself against the wall behind a tall storage unit. The footsteps paused outside the door, and she could hear the guards talking. "Did you hear about the young medic in Section 4? One guard said, "Found giving pain blockers to children after surgery. They're making an example of her tomorrow." "Good," the other replied. "Weak medics make weak warriors." Lyra's heart pounded. They had discovered her secret work in the children's ward. There would be no mercy. She had seen what happened to others who showed weakness. Her only chance was to run. The footsteps moved away, and Lyra acted quickly. She grabbed more supplies, shoving them into her bag. The small emergency shuttle bay was just 2 levels up. As a senior medic, she had access to the medical transport vessels. It was her only hope. Moving through the corridors, she kept her head down, walking with purpose like she was on a normal late-night round. Her medical uniform helped her blend in, but each passing person made her pulse race. The elevator ride felt endless, but finally, she reached the shuttle bay level. Just as she rounded the last corner, an alarm blared through the facility. A mechanical voice echoed through the corridors. "Alert. Unauthorized access to restricted medicines detected in Storage Room 7. All security personnel report for duty. Begin facility lockdown." Lyra ran. She no longer cared about looking normal. Behind her, she could hear shouts and running feet. The shuttle bay doors were starting to close, part of the lockdown procedure. With a desperate burst of speed, she slid under them just before they sealed shut. The small medical shuttle sat ready on its launch pad. These vessels were simple, designed for quick medical evacuations from battlefield zones. Lyra's fingers flew across the control panel, her medical override code still working. The engine hummed to life just as laser fire began hitting the shuttle's exterior. "This is Security Chief Marn. Power down immediately. Resistance will only increase your punishment." Lyra ignored the commands blasting through the bay's speakers. The shuttle lifted off, its engines straining as she pushed them to full power before the launch sequence was properly completed. More laser fire struck the hull, and warning lights flashed across her controls. The bay's outer doors were sealed, but they weren't designed to stop a determined pilot. Lyra aimed straight for them, diverting all power to the front shields. The impact was tremendous. Metal screamed against metal as the shuttle burst through, alarms blaring from multiple damaged systems. Space opened up before her, beautiful and terrifying. Behind her, the massive medical facility grew smaller, but she could already see security vessels launching in pursuit. Her damaged shuttle wouldn't be able to outrun them for long. Lyra's hands danced across the controls, initiating a desperate faster-than-light jump. The navigational computer screamed warnings about incomplete calculations and dangerous trajectories, but she had no choice. As the security vessels closed in, she activated the jump. The stars stretched into lines of light, and the shuttle leaped into the unknown. Warning lights continued to flash, showing multiple system failures. The jump engines were critically damaged, and life support was failing. Through the viewport, unfamiliar stars streaked past as the shuttle tumbled through space. Tears floated in the zero gravity around Lyra's face. She had escaped, but at what cost? The shuttle was falling apart around her, and she had no idea where she was going. But even death was better than returning to a society that saw kindness as weakness. As her consciousness started to fade from the failing life support, She saw a beautiful blue-green planet appearing in her viewport. Her last thought before blackness took her was a hope that wherever she was going, it might be somewhere that understood mercy. Tom Baker liked the quiet of early morning forest patrols. 20 years as a park ranger had taught him to enjoy these peaceful moments before the day truly began. But this morning was different. The strange lights he'd seen in the sky last night still bothered him. And the animals were acting weird. Too quiet, too cautious. He parked his ranger truck at the trailhead and grabbed his gear. Something had spooked the local wildlife, and he needed to find out what. The morning dew soaked his boots as he followed a trail of broken branches and disturbed earth. Whatever had happened here wasn't natural. The first sign of real trouble was the trees. Several massive pines lay broken and burned, creating a path of destruction through the forest. Tom radioed back to the station. "Base, this is Tom. Got some serious damage out in Section 7. Might be a small aircraft crash. Going to check it out." "Copy that, Tom. Need backup?" "Not yet. I'll call if I find anything." The destruction got worse as he went deeper into the forest. The smell of burnt metal and strange chemicals filled the air. Then he saw it, a silver vessel, unlike any aircraft he'd ever seen, half buried in the soft earth. Steam rose from its cracked hull, and pieces of strange metal were scattered everywhere. "Well," Tom muttered to himself, "this is definitely above my pay grade." A weak sound caught his attention. Something between a whimper and a gasp. Tom moved carefully around the wreck, following the noise. Behind a piece of twisted metal, he found her. The alien was humanoid, but clearly not human. Her skin had a slight purple tint, and delicate patterns of what looked like scales traced across her face. She wore some kind of uniform, now torn and bloodied. When she saw Tom, her eyes went wide with terror. To Tom's surprise, she spoke in perfect English. "Please," she said, her voice shaking. "Make it quick." Tom blinked in confusion. "Make what quick?" "The killing, or the torture. Whatever you're going to do." She tried to sit up straighter, wincing in pain. "I accept my fate as an intruder." Tom immediately pulled his first aid kit from his backpack. "Nobody's killing or torturing anybody. You're hurt, and I'm going to help you." The alien stared at him like he'd grown a second head. She actually flinched when he moved closer with bandages. "I don't understand," she said. "I crashed in your territory. I'm at your mercy. Why aren't you?" She trailed off, watching in bewilderment as Tom carefully cleaned a cut on her arm. "Because you're hurt," Tom said simply, continuing his work. "And where I come from, we help people who are hurt, even purple people who fall from the sky." He gave her a gentle smile. "I'm Tom, by the way." "Lara," she replied automatically, then winced as he found another injury. You have medicine that stops pain." "Of course." Tom pulled out some painkillers from his kit. "Here, these should help until the ambulance arrives." Lyra took the pills with trembling hands, tears forming in her eyes. "My people believe pain makes us stronger. That comfort makes us weak." "Well, no offense to your people," Tom said, checking her for other injuries. "But that's just stupid. Pain is pain. It's not some magical teaching tool. It's just hurting, and hurting people is wrong." To his surprise, Lyra started crying harder, but she was smiling too, in a way that made Tom think she hadn't done much smiling before. "I've never," she started, then had to take a breath. "I've never heard anyone say that out loud before." Tom heard sirens in the distance. He'd called for medical help while treating her, and now they were arriving. He could see Lyra tensing up again. "Hey," he said gently, "I know you're scared, but I promise you, no one here is going to hurt you. The people coming, they're like me. They just want to help." Lyra looked at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "I believe you," she whispered, sounding surprised at her own words. "I don't know why, but I believe you." As the ambulance approached, Tom stayed by her side, his presence a quiet promise that on this strange new world, kindness wasn't weakness. It was simply the way things were done. The bright lights of the emergency room made Lyra blink. Everything here was different from the medical facility she knew. The walls were painted in soft colors. The air smelled clean but not harsh. And most strange of all, no one was screaming. Dr. Mary walked into the room, her white coat neat and her smile warm. For the 10th time that day, Lyra wondered if she was dreaming. On her world, senior medical officers never smiled. They believed it showed weakness. "How are you feeling, Lyra?" Dr. Mary asked, checking the monitors beside the bed. "Is the pain medication still working?" "Yes," Lyra whispered. "I still can't believe you give it freely. In our hospitals, She stopped, old memories making her shiver. Dr. Mary sat down beside the bed. "Tell me about your hospitals, Lyra. It might help us understand how to make you more comfortable." Lyra closed her eyes, memories flooding back. In Valari hospitals, pain is seen as a teacher. When I was training as a medic, they would make us treat our own injuries without medicine. They said it would make us understand our patients better. She touched a scar on her arm. "I failed my first test. I passed out from the pain. They made me do it again the next day." The human doctor's face showed horror, but her voice stayed gentle. "That must have been terrible for you." "It was normal," Lyra said. Nothing here is normal. Yesterday I heard a child crying because of a small cut, and instead of telling him to be strong, the nurse gave him something called a lollipop and a colorful bandage with pictures on it. And the child stopped crying, Dr. Mary said with a smile. "Yes, he actually laughed." Lyra sat up straighter, wincing slightly. "On my world, they would say you're making him weak. But he seemed happy. How can that be wrong?" A young nurse came in with lunch, another strange human custom. In Valari hospitals, food was given only when absolutely necessary, and it was always bland. But here, they'd brought her different foods to try, asking what she liked best. The scan results came back, Dr. Mary said, showing Lyra some images. "Your bones are healing well, but there's some tissue damage we'd like to repair surgically. With your permission, of course." Lyra stared at her. "My permission? Of course, it's your body. We don't do anything without patient consent here." Tears formed in Lyra's eyes. On her world, doctors did whatever they thought best. Patients had no say. She remembered holding down struggling people, telling herself it was for their own good. During the surgery, Lyra asked carefully, Will I feel it?" Dr. Mary's face softened with understanding. "No, Lyra. You'll be completely unconscious. You won't feel any pain at all. When you wake up, we'll have medication ready to keep you comfortable while you heal." A memory flashed through Lyra's mind. Her last surgery on her home world. They had strapped her down, told her to be strong, to learn from the pain. She had screamed until her voice gave out. "Why?" Lyra asked, her voice breaking. "Why are you all so kind? What do you gain from it?" "We gain better healing," Dr. Mary explained. "Patients who are comfortable and feel safe heal faster. But more than that." She took Lyra's hand gently. "It's simply the right thing to do. Causing unnecessary pain is wrong. That's something most humans understand." A young doctor walked in then, carrying some charts. He smiled at Lyra. Another casual smile, freely given. "Good news. Your blood work shows no infection. Looks like those antibiotics are doing their job." Lyra watched him leave, then turned back to Dr. Mary. "I treated a young medic once, in secret. He had burned his hands badly. I gave him pain medicine. When they found out," she shuddered, "they said I had ruined his chance to grow stronger through suffering. They said I was a traitor to our ways." "You weren't a traitor," Dr. Mary said firmly. "You were a good doctor. You followed the most important rule of medicine. First, do no harm." For the first time since arriving on Earth, Lyra felt something new growing inside her. Not fear, Not confusion, but hope. Maybe, just maybe, she had finally found a place where healing didn't have to hurt. 2 weeks had passed since Lyra's crash landing, and Earth continued to surprise her. Today, Tom was visiting again, carrying a bag full of what he called books and something that smelled wonderful. "Brought you some chicken soup," he said, setting up a small table near her hospital bed. "My mom's recipe. And these books about Earth's medical history. Dr. Mary said you were interested." Lyra carefully opened one of the books, still amazed by the simple technology. On her world, everything was digital. But these paper books had a special feeling to them. She could touch the pages, feel their weight. "I've been reading about your Florence Nightingale," she said. She changed everything by saying patients needed kindness. The word still felt strange in her mouth. Tom nodded, pouring the soup into a bowl. "Yeah, she was pretty amazing. Changed how we think about nursing and patient care. Try the soup, it's good for healing, or so my mom always says." Lyra took a careful spoonful. Warm flavors filled her mouth, and she couldn't help smiling. "On my world, medical food is just nutrition, no taste. They say enjoying food makes you soft." "Your people seem to think everything nice makes you soft," Tom said, sitting down. "No offense, but that sounds like a hard way to live." Before Lyra could respond, there was a knock at the door. 2 people in suits entered, government officials who had been questioning her gently over the past week. Unlike the harsh interrogators of her world, these humans actually seemed to care about her comfort. "Good afternoon, Lyra," said Agent Wilson, taking the seat. "How are you feeling today?" "Better, thank you." Lyra still found it strange how they always asked about her well-being first. "We have some questions about Valari medical technology, if you feel up to it," Agent Brown said, pulling out a tablet. "But we can come back later if you're tired." Lyra straightened up. "Actually, I've been wanting to share something." She took a deep breath. "Your medical practices, they're better than ours. I've been studying your recovery rates. Patients here heal faster, with fewer complications. I want to help you understand our technology, but improve it with your methods." The agents exchanged surprised looks. "You're willing to share your medical knowledge?" Agent Wilson asked. "Yes, your people have shown me such kindness. I want to give something back." Lyra touched one of the medical books. "But I have one condition. Whatever we develop together must be used for healing, not hurting. No weapons." "Of course," Agent Brown said immediately. "That's not even a question. Medical research is for helping people." Lyra felt tears forming again. She seemed to cry a lot on Earth, but nobody mocked her for it. "On my world, everything can be a weapon, even healing knowledge." Tom, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. "Well, you're not on your world anymore. You're here, and here we do things differently." Over the next hour, Lyra shared basic information about Valari medical scanners and tissue regeneration techniques. The agents took notes, asked questions, but never pushed when she said certain topics were too difficult to discuss yet. As they were leaving, Agent Wilson turned back. "By the way, the local school asked if you'd be interested in speaking to their medical science club. Many students are curious about alien medicine, but only if you feel comfortable, of course." Lyra thought about it. The idea of speaking to young humans about medicine, sharing knowledge freely without fear of punishment. "Yes," she said. "I would like that." After they left, Tom helped her with more soup. "You know what," he said, "you're changing too. When you first arrived, you flinched every time someone came near you. Now look at you, planning to teach kids." Lyra nodded slowly. "I'm learning that maybe my people were wrong. Real strength isn't about enduring pain. Sometimes it's about being brave enough to accept kindness." She picked up another book. "And maybe being kind is the strongest thing of all." Tom smiled. "Now you're getting it." He opened one of the medical history books. "Want me to read some to you? This chapter's about how we discovered anesthesia." As Tom's voice filled the room with stories of humans choosing compassion over cruelty, Lyra felt truly at peace. She was learning not just about human medicine, but about being human. And that, she realized, was the most valuable lesson of all. The emergency meeting room at the hospital was filled with tension. Lyra stood at the window, staring at the night sky, her hands trembling. The satellite images on the screen behind her showed what she had feared most: 3 Valari medical ships entering the solar system. "They're coming," she said quietly. "I recognize those ships. They're from the Medical Enforcement Division." Tom, Dr. Mary, and the government agents sat around the table, watching her with concern. Agent Wilson spoke first. "What exactly does this Medical Enforcement Division do?" Lyra turned, her face pale. "They help other species become stronger. At least, that's what they call it." She closed her eyes, memories flooding back. "I've seen their work. They find developing worlds and offer medical aid. But their treatments, they believe every cure must come through pain." "Like they do on your world?" Dr. Mary asked gently. "Worse." Lyra's voice shook. "They see other species as weak because they use pain prevention. They think they're helping by teaching them the right way to heal." She opened her eyes, looking at each person in the room. "They won't just ask nicely. They'll force their methods on your hospitals." Agent Brown checked his tablet. "The ships will reach Earth in 3 days. What can we expect?" "They'll send a message first, offering help. They'll say they want to share advanced medical knowledge." Lyra started pacing. "But once they're here, they'll start by removing all pain medication from hospitals. They'll say it's for our own good." "Well, that's not happening," Tom said firmly. "We're not going to let them hurt people." Lyra stopped pacing. "You don't understand. Their ships have weapons. If you resist, they'll say you're too weak to make proper medical decisions. They'll take control by force." Dr. Mary stood up, her face determined. "Then we'll show them they're wrong." "Lyra, in the past month, you've helped us understand so much about advanced medicine. But more importantly, you've learned why our way works better. The recovery statistics," Agent Wilson added. "Show them the data about faster healing with proper pain management." Lyra shook her head. "They don't care about statistics. They care about tradition, about their beliefs." She hugged herself, shivering despite the warm room. "I tried showing them evidence before. That's why I had to run." Tom walked over and put a gentle hand on her shoulder. "But you're not alone this time. And we're not giving up our way of healing. Not when it's right." "We need to prepare," Agent Brown said, typing quickly. "Lyra, we need everything you can tell us about their ships, their protocols, their weaknesses." "Weaknesses?" Lyra looked confused. "You're not planning to fight?" "No," Dr. Mary said with a small smile. "We're planning to teach, just like we taught you." Understanding dawned on Lyra's face. The young medical officers on those ships, many of them are like I was, doubting, questioning, but afraid to speak up. "Exactly," Agent Wilson said. "We'll show them another way is possible, but we need your help to do it." For the next hour, they made plans. Lyra shared everything she knew about Valari ship layouts, medical protocols, and crew structures. The humans listened, asked questions, and slowly built a strategy that didn't involve a single weapon. As the meeting ended, Lyra looked out at the stars again. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Not of them hurting me, but what if we fail? What if they force their ways on your people?" Tom stood beside her. "You know what I think. I think once people see there's a better way, a kinder way, they can't unsee it. It worked with you. But I was ready to change," Lyra said. "I was already questioning everything. And you don't think others are?" Dr. Mary joined them at the window. "You're proof that change is possible. Sometimes people just need to see it's okay to be kind." As they looked up at the stars together, Lyra felt something replace her fear. Hope, yes, but also determination. The Valari were coming to teach Earth a lesson, But maybe, just maybe, Earth would teach them instead. 3 days, she said firmly. We have 3 days to prepare. Let's show them what real healing looks like. The hospital's main conference room had been transformed into a meeting space for first contact. 3 Velari medical ships hung in orbit above Earth, visible through the large windows as bright points of light in the morning sky. Lyra stood between Dr. Mary and Tom, wearing a clean white Earth doctor's coat over her traditional Velari medical uniform. Her heart pounded as the room's screen lit up, showing the stern face of Chief Medical Officer Dax. "Greetings, Earth representatives," Dax said, his voice cold and formal. "We've come to reclaim our lost medic and offer your species proper medical guidance." Before anyone could respond, a young Velari officer behind Dax suddenly pointed at Lyra. "She's wearing pain-giver clothes." The officer's voice held more curiosity than accusation. Dax's eyes narrowed. "Lyra, remove that offensive garment. You dishonor our ways." "No," Lyra said, her voice shaking but clear. "These clothes represent what I've learned, what we've all forgotten." She stepped forward. "Chief Medical Officer, I request permission to present evidence of Earth's medical achievements." "Evidence of weakness," Dax scoffed. "Their hospitals are filled with pain-blocking poisons. They coddle their patients like infants." Dr. Mary spoke up, her voice calm. "Yet our recovery rates are better than yours. Lyra has helped us combine your advanced technologies with our methods. The results are remarkable." The screen split to show medical data. Charts and images appeared, showing healing rates, recovery times, and success rates. Lyra pointed to specific cases. This patient received Velari tissue regeneration combined with human pain management. Complete recovery in half the usual time. This child, treated with our bone-setting techniques but given proper comfort care, walking in 2 days instead of 7. The young officer behind Dax leaned forward, clearly interested. Others in the Velari control room were whispering among themselves. "Lies," Dax snapped. "Pain is strength. It is the way of our people." "Is it?" Tom asked quietly. "Or is it just the way you were taught?" He turned to the screen. "We've seen Lyra's scars, not just the physical ones. Is that really making anyone stronger?" Another young Velari officer spoke up. "Chief, I've actually questioned this too. When I treated my sister's broken arm, I couldn't bear her screams. I secretly gave her pain medicine." "Treason," Dax shouted, but more voices joined in. "Why must healing hurt? I've always wondered this too. My patients recover slower when they're in pain." Lyra raised her voice above the growing chaos. "I was like you. I believed pain was necessary. But look." She rolled up her sleeve, showing a recent surgical scar. "I had Earth surgery 2 weeks ago. No pain, no suffering, and I healed perfectly. Our ancestors didn't have pain medicine, so they made a virtue of suffering. But we know better now." The screen showed more young Velari medical staff moving forward, pushing past their superiors to see better. Their faces showed a mix of hope and fear, the same expression Lyra had worn when she first experienced human kindness. "This is a rebellion," Dax growled. "We'll take control of their facilities by force, show them true strength." "No," said a firm voice. A senior Velari doctor stepped forward, her age marks showing years of service. "I've watched these reports in silence. The evidence is clear." She faced Dax. "We were wrong. All these years, we were wrong." The room fell silent. Even Dax seemed shocked by this elder's words. "Our ships have the best medical equipment in the galaxy," the elder continued. "Imagine what we could achieve if we combined our technology with their wisdom about healing." She smiled slightly. "True strength is being able to admit when we're wrong." Lyra felt tears on her cheeks, but for once, they were tears of joy. Around the room, human and Velari alike were nodding. Even some of Dax's loyal officers looked thoughtful. The elder turned to the Earth delegation. "We request a teaching exchange, not to instruct, but to learn." to find a better way together. Dr. Mary stepped forward, smiling. We would be honored. As the room erupted in excited discussion, Tom leaned close to Lyra. See, sometimes kindness is the strongest medicine of all. Lyra watched as human and Valari medical staff began talking eagerly about possibilities. A new chapter was beginning, one where healing didn't have to hurt. 1 year had passed since the day Earth changed Valari medicine forever. Lyra stood in the new Joint Medical Academy, watching students from both worlds working together in the training hall. The building itself showed how things had changed. Gone were the cold, metallic walls of traditional Valari hospitals. Instead, warm colors and comfortable spaces filled the rooms. Large windows let in natural light, and the gardens outside were full of healing plants from both planets. Ready for your lecture, Professor? Tom asked, walking up with a stack of textbooks. He now worked as a cultural advisor at the academy, helping bridge the gap between human and Valari ways. Lyra smiled, touching her new uniform, a design that combined Valari medical symbols with the comforting style of Earth doctors' coats. I never thought I'd see young Valari sitting willingly in pain management classes. Times change, Dr. Mary said, joining them. She pointed to a group of students practicing with a new medical scanner. Look at that. Valari technology with human healing philosophy. Best of both worlds. In the practice room, a young Valari medical student was treating a human patient's injury. She spoke softly, explaining each step, making sure her patient was comfortable. The scanner in her hands, far more advanced than Earth technology, showed detailed tissue images, while Earth-style pain management kept the patient relaxed. Remember when you first crashed here? Tom asked. You thought we were going to torture you. Lyra laughed softly. And now I'm teaching Valari doctors how to be gentle. She watched as more students filed into the lecture hall. The younger generation gets it so much faster than we did. Through the windows, they could see one of the Valari medical ships landed in the academy's grounds. But it was different now, repainted in peaceful colors, transformed into a teaching hospital. Even Chief Medical Officer Dax had eventually retired, replaced by younger leadership who embraced the new ways. It's time, Dr. Mary said, checking her watch. They're waiting for you. Lyra entered the lecture hall, now filled with both human and Valari medical students. The room fell quiet as she reached the podium. Looking out at their faces, some pink, some purple, all eager to learn, she felt a surge of pride. Today's lesson, she began, is about the true meaning of strength in medicine. For too long, my people believed that enduring pain made us stronger. We were wrong. She activated a display showing healing rates. Real strength is having the courage to be kind. Real power is in healing without hurting. A young Valari student raised her hand. Professor, my grandmother still says the old ways were better, that we're becoming soft. Show her this, Lyra said, displaying new data. Since implementing pain management and comfort care, Valari healing rates have improved by 60%. Our patients recover faster, return to work sooner, and show better long-term outcomes. Being kind isn't being weak, it's being smart. The lecture continued, with Lyra showing how combining Valari medical technology with human compassion had revolutionized healing across both worlds. Earth hospitals now used advanced Valari scanners and regeneration techniques, while Valari facilities had transformed into places of comfort and care. After class, a human student stopped by her desk. Professor, is it true you were once arrested for giving pain medicine to children? Yes, Lyra said softly. And now those same children are growing up in a world where healing doesn't have to hurt. That's the real revolution. Tom and Dr. Mary waited as the students filed out. Through the window, the setting sun painted the sky in beautiful colors. A new group of Valari ships was arriving, not for invasion this time, but bringing more students eager to learn the new way. You know what still amazes me, Lyra said, gathering her things. How one simple act of kindness from a forest ranger changed everything. Not just for me, but for two whole worlds. Tom smiled. Sometimes the strongest medicine is just being human, or learning to be human, Lyra added, touching the Earth medical symbol now proudly displayed next to her Valari credentials. Even if you're purple and from another planet. As they walked out together, Lyra saw new patients arriving at the Academy's clinic, humans and Valari, all receiving the same gentle care, all healing the same better way. The revolution wasn't just in medicine. It was in hearts and minds, and it had started with a simple choice to be kind.